Good morning. This is a screencast about Uncomplicated Menus. Uncomplicated Menus is an app that helps you organize a site into categories, arrange your products to make it easier for your customers to find them, and then display that category list at the top of every page as part of your menu. So I start off by clicking on Uncomplicated Menus and it takes me into the admin screen. What we're going to do here is progressively build up a set of menus for a website. And here is what that website looks like at the moment. So this is my site. It's absolutely freshly installed from Shopify, so there is absolutely nothing here. In fact, I'm getting this clue message at the bottom from Shopify saying add a product. What I'm going to do is show that we can change this menu here into an uncomplicated menu with a category tree in it by using the app. So over here on the left hand side, it's asking me for my storefront password. It's detected that my store isn't open yet, and so I have a storefront password. This is not my admin user password. Instead, the storefront password is held here in Shopify, and it's configured independently. So I'm going to use that password in all of these dialogues. As soon as I take this password off and actually launch my store, then when I go back into Uncomplicated Menus, it will no longer ask for a storefront password, because it's detected that that's not relevant anymore. Instead, there's just this refresh button. For now, I'm going to configure a storefront password because my store is pre-launch, as I imagine many of my customers' store are when they first adopt the app. Great. So the next thing is to build up a set of menus. Uncomplicated Menus works entirely with Shopify menus, and it's with the native menu system, so there's no special configuration. Instead, if I go and click this edit link, it takes me into the Shopify store navigation, which of course can be accessed here through the left-hand menu. And I can see that I've got two menus configured at the moment, a footer menu and a main menu. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit the main menu and start setting up a structure for my categories. At the top of that, I'm going to create an item, categories. Shopify has a feature where if you create a menu which has the same name as a menu item, it allows you to effectively create a submenu. So if I add a menu and give it that same title, categories, and I'll put a few items in here, such as photography, technology, film and TV, and home audio, and I save that menu, then already I've created my top level category, which is called categories. If we go to navigation, we can see that here. Categories sits in the main menu at the very top, and then I've created my first set of categories: photography, technology, film and TV, and home audio. I'm just going to go a little bit further at this stage and create a subcategory. I want this subcategory to be of technology, so I'm going to create a menu with a title, technology, and I want my subcategory to be called computers. I'll save that menu, go back up to the top level, and now I've got a menu with some categories, these top level categories, and a subcategory of that, computers. And uncomplicated menus, much like uncomplicated categories, can cope with almost any number of levels of subcategory. So if I now add another menu, I'm going to call this one computers, and I'm going to create a subcategory of computers called tablets. So when I go back to the app now, installed, uncomplicated menus, the admin screen's in exactly the state we left it in. So whatever changes I make in my store, until I come back to the admin screen and refresh the menu, those changes won't be flushed through to the menu. The idea is that it gives you a chance to expand your store until you're ready to effectively publish the changes. I'm going to type in my storefront password and click refresh menu, and what it's doing is it's taking that category list from Shopify and building a menu of categories. So what we're going to see here on the right hand side are my main menu. Categories was the top level container. Then we had a first level of categories: photography, technology, film, TV, home and audio, I created a subcategory computers of technology and a subcategory of computers called tablets. So already there you can see there is this basic menu structure. What I'd like to do now is show you what we've created in the front end of the site. So I go to the front end, refresh, and you can see now that I've got my main menu here, and when I roll over the categories item, I can see I've already started putting together a hierarchical set of categories. The top level categories are all there: photography, technology, film, TV, home audio. Computers is showing under technology and tablets under computers. Now at the moment there are no links, so if I click these items they don't go anywhere, and the reason for that is that when I was back in here in the online store navigation and I was setting up these categories, I didn't give them any links. I didn't I didn't target the page they link to. So at the moment they've all just got the home page on them, which is why they're not going anywhere. What I'd like to do next is create collections for each one of these categories, and then into those collections I'm going to put some products. Let's start off then by creating the collection. To do that, I go into Products, Collections, and here I have an empty set of collections. I'm going to add a collection, set up the title, photography. Not going to enter a description at this time, although I could. I'm going to choose to manually put products into this, and we'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to edit the website SEO just to look at the link that's been created. I'm happy with that. Collections, photography, and then save. That collection will appear in my list of collections. There it is. And I can add some more. So I'm going to go through and add collections for each one of the categories that I've created so far. So now that I go back to my list of collections, I can see I've created collections for that list of categories. The next step is to go back into product navigation, online store navigation, and to link up this set of categories with the collections that I've just created. Here to do that, for each one of the categories, I select collection, select a collection, and then pick it out of the list or type in its name to find it. Make sure I save the menu when that's done. I've done that for all these first level categories, and now I'm going into the sub-menus, first technology, to link these ones up, computers, to the computers collection. And tablets to the tablets collection. Great, so now that's complete. I go back to the app, installed, uncomplicated menus, and I refresh again. To do that, I enter my Storefront password, click refresh menu, it tells me it's refreshing, and then over here on the right hand side, the menu should update. Now what will change is the link, not the content of the menu so much as the links. And if I hover over each one of these, you can see now they actually refer to a collection. When I go back to the front end of the site and refresh the page and hover over categories, the categories are now all links. So I can actually go into any one of these and it will jump me into that collection. Film and TV, home audio. Now what we're seeing is in each one of these that there are currently no products within that category, and that's what the 0 is in brackets. That's the product count. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to populate the site with products and start loading them into these categories. I'm also going to create some more categories so that we've got a more comprehensive category tree. So back into the admin section, products, import, and I happen to have a CSV ready which has all these products. It's picked out one of them to demonstrate that it's going to create 53 products. I start that import and it tells me that the import's in process and I've just got to wait for it. Great, so those products have been imported now. The next action we're going to take here is to put those products into their relevant collections. So to do that, products, collections, and then I select a collection such as tablets and I assign those products to that collection. I'm also going to add collections for the rest of the hierarchy. So now I'm going to go into each one of those collections as before and populate it with products. So now that we've ingested all of the products and put them into collections, the next step is to go back into the navigation, because I've created a whole array of collections that now need to have categories that link to them. Right, so at this stage I've created a bunch of menu items linked to a bunch of collections, which is going to give us our category tree. As part of this exercise, it's sometimes difficult to remember exactly which menu items you've created or not created yet, which categories you've linked them to, which collections you've created, what products are in those collections. But by going into Uncomplicated menus and refreshing the menu tree, we can get an up-to-date position of where we're up to. So during this process, I'm periodically coming back to Uncomplicated menus and simply refreshing. And each time I refresh, it just gives me a view of the current menu here on the right-hand side. So I can see that I've got a category tree shaping up quite nicely here. I've got products in most of my subcategories. I haven't got any products in home audio yet, so I'm going to go and do that one. But broadly, I think this is looking about right. And now if I drop into the front end of the site and refresh the page, there should be some changes. We should see some products in some of the categories, and here when I roll over categories I can see a menu showing me all of my categories and within that the different collections and how many products they have within them. So if I drop into say DVD, I can see a collection there and these are all the products are showing up. Cameras, or smartphones. So that's the most basic view of Uncomplicated menus. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to change my top level menu so that I can link to different points in this category tree. What I've done so far is have one section that contains categories and then all of the subcategories are contained within that. But there's no reason why this top level menu can't have some of these top level categories, or in fact the subcategories in them. And what Uncomplicated menus will do is link all the things together so you can have all these multiple points side by side. To do that, as with all these changes, I drive it by going into the online store navigation. So this is just the default Shopify navigation. And I can make changes in here. So I'm going to change the main menu. I'm relying here again on that feature, that bit of functionality in Shopify that lets you name a menu after a menu item and effectively link the two together. So if I create a menu item for technology, I might want to link it to the technology collection. Created two of them, not that it's crucial. There we go, menu saved, and then drop back into Uncomplicated Menus as before, refresh. And now we can see on the right hand side that the current menu, the top level or main menu, has actually got a lot longer. The reason for that is that we've got categories within our category section where all of those subcategories have been linked into their parent categories. But if I scroll down, there are several other attach points. So I put the technology first level category into the main menu, and I put the photography first level category. And that means that these subcategories are actually appearing several times in our total category hierarchy. Let's take a look at what that looks like in the front end. So if I refresh this page, the main menu changes. I've still got all the categories under categories, but now I've also got the technology section, which just shows me the technology categories, and the photography section, which just shows me the photography categories. This is supposed to illustrate exactly how flexible Uncomplicated Menus is when you're creating this main menu. You could choose to have the approach where you've got a single item with all of your categories in it, and you want to allow your user to link to them from just one place, or you could choose to have a number of different top-level category containers, and within those all their subcategories. Perhaps if you want to split up the site a little bit more and avoid overwhelming a user with too many choices in one section. So that brings us to the end of this screencast. I hope it's been useful. Uncomplicated Categories is the sister app to Uncomplicated Menus and allows you to create category lists that show on the left-hand side, or the breadcrumb, or the header jump to of your site. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thanks very much.